everybody, welcome back. I'm William.
I'm Keena.
And we are the Nerdy Weds. And today we are discussing Wonder Woman, 1984. This is going to be kind of a review of that. But before we get to that, we have a couple announcements to make. And first, we got our custom URL. Thank you to everyone who subscribed to the channel. If you haven't subscribed to the channel yet, I mean, it's free. Go ahead. Do it. Click the button. We took a little while to notice because YouTube kind of made us wait for it. You had to wait for like a week. And then I got tired of waiting and stopped looking. And apparently today I looked and boom. Our new URL is youtube.com/c/thenerdyweds. So finally got that. And thank you again to everyone else or everyone who subscribed and is supporting the channel.
Yes, thank you.
And then the book club, you have a drawing to do.
Yes, we have a Nerdy Weds book club. It's on Discord. It's in the channel that's called the Reading Corner under the Nerdy Weds. And we have a list of books that is pinned on that channel. And as people make suggestions or recommendations, we will add to the list. And the book name will go in my little Harry Potter mug. And each month we'll draw the book from here so we know what book we'll be reading and discussing over Discord. So I'm just going to go ahead and do that.
Oh, you're going to have me draw the name, right?
Well, yeah.
Swish it around and draw out a name.
Draw a good one.
Draw out a good one.
They're all good. It's just I have certain genre that I really want to read right now. So you don't have two of them, do you?
Nope. I think I got one.
No, you have two. So take one away.
Take one away, peasant. All right, left or right? Left or right? Right? Right. I mean, it was.
There's a reason why we're drawing names, because we couldn't decide on a book. So the people who are participating right now, we were all like, I think Krista actually came up with a good idea. She is like the ideas person.
Yeah.
She has some good ones. And she was like, well, just next time you guys do the podcast or YouTube, just draw the name. So that's what we'll be doing from here on out. And it's the 5th season by N.K. Jemisin.
Nice.
That's pretty cool because I was hoping that it would be one of the fantasy books, because you know me, I'm not into fantasy, and the only way I'm really gonna read one quickly is if it's, yeah. So that's pretty good.
Keep forcing her
I
to read
almost put
fantasy.
it back in there, but it stays out because it was chosen. All right. Now I wonder what that other one was in your hand. Did you
I didn't read it. I went to read it and I couldn't read your handwriting, so I tossed it back in the bucket.
Okay, so Wonder Woman, 1984.
Yes, it was a movie. It was a very long movie.
It was too long.
Too damn long.
There's so many things that they could have and should have cut out, and it would have made for a less unappealing movie.
Yeah, I mean, there was no Wonder Woman in it. I mean, you get her in one of the first scenes of the movie, running around a mall, taking out some jewelry guys. She doesn't show up for another hour and 20 minutes in the movie as Wonder Woman. It's just Diana running around doing Diana stuff.
And the thing is, I don't have a problem with that if the story's good. And the story was not good. It wasn't a compelling story. So that's why I said, even if you take out some stuff, I probably would have had an easier time staying awake. But I still wouldn't have said that it was a good movie for me. Because it wasn't. And my main thing why I felt that way is because I just didn't think it was a good story, and I didn't find it compelling.
Yeah. There were two things that were wasted by this movie. One of them was the opportunity. And what I mean by that is the first Wonder Woman movie was a good movie. In fact, it was one of the best of the DC movies so far in the DCU.
That's not saying much because other than Shazam, most of the DC movies are not that great. And some of the Batman movies, because you know I like Batman.
Yeah.
But, yeah,
yeah. I barely have anything good to say about the movie. I will say that that Gal Gadot does bring another great performance for what she did in the movie. Mm-hmm. And I think her and, what's his name? The main antagonist. Oh, by the way, this is a spoiler review.
Oh, you were supposed to say that right at the beginning.
Yeah. So far, we haven't said anything that's a spoiler. We've just given our opinions, but this is a spoiler review. We are going to spoil some stuff, so you might not want to pay too much attention to what we're saying right now.
Yeah, so the main antagonist is the guy that plays the Mandalorian, and I should know his name by now because
he's
carries
the
that.
Mandalorian.
Yeah, he carries that show, but I don't know it yet. Right after this video ends, I'll know and remember his name. But the good thing about the movie for me is also Gal Gadot. I think she's a good actress and she's believable both as Diana and as Wonder Woman. And when the first movie came out and she was casted, I had my doubts because growing up, watching, loving Wonder Woman, everybody knows, think of the thing that the movie, the show you love the most, and you build up an idea of what that character is like in your head. And Gal Gadot, even though she's beautiful, she wasn't it for me.
Yeah.
And so I was going into it like, man, I really was hoping they'd cast someone different who, and when I watched that first movie, I was like, I was wrong. She did a really great job. She was very believable in the role. And she is in this one too.
They gave her some very experienced actors to carry her through the first movie, and she held her own and was great as Wonder Woman. I won't take anything away from her for that. This movie, she carried her own completely. She didn't need supporting actors to help her through the role. The first movie, she wasn't really an actress.
She didn't need anyone in the first one either, and that actually was my main complaint about the first movie. I was disappointed because I had waited my entire childhood for a Wonder Woman movie, and I wanted Wonder Woman to be center stage. I didn't want Steve Trevor coming in, helping save the day, and her story being split with his, and some of the focus taken off of her. I wanted all of the focus to be on her because I waited that long and never actually thought we'd get a Wonder Woman movie because we waited so long. I was like, okay, that's never going to happen. And that was my main disappointment with the first Wonder Woman movie. Even though I actually enjoyed it, I would watch it again. I have watched it again. But when he was killed off, Steve Trevor was killed off in the first movie, I'm sorry, I might have been maybe one of the few people who wasn't sad about it. Yeah. I was like, good, because he's not going to be in the second movie, and now we'll just get her story. We'll get, her challenges and what she's trying to overcome without being sidetracked by him. And lo and behold, they found some crazy, convoluted way to bring him back.
Convoluted and problematic.
Yes.
Holy crap. I mean, this movie, I think DC would have burned to the ground if you'd have reversed the genders in this. If it would have been Superman and Lois Lane took over the body of a woman, and then the first thing they do, Lois Lane and Superman, is go back to his place and bump uglies. People would be like, he just raped some random woman because Steve is in the body of a random dude. It's like, why? That never played out to any real plot point. It never became a real plot point, except that he was the random dude that walked up next to her at the end of the movie. Mm-hmm. He could have been any dude. We knew that was the guy that Steve had taken over, but he is a guy with his own life. Yeah, he was vain. They were supposed to make him look like he was some arrogant, self-centered, because he had pictures of himself all over his own apartment. Mm-hmm. But it didn't play that way because he's just some random poor dude who just lost a few days of his life to being roboted around by some other guy.
And it's like, what if he had died because
they had AIDS?
Yeah, they're doing all of this stuff in his body and taking over, his life is essentially. What if they had, you know, like you just said, what if they giving them some disease because you're having them?
Hey, what if he
knows?
got her
Like,
pregnant?
yeah.
What if this guy got her pregnant? Because it wouldn't be Steve's baby; it would be that guy's baby. You know, it was like basically date R. You know, I'm not going to say the word, but
You already did.
already did. We'll have to bleep it because
Yeah.
you know YouTube's all weird about people talking about real life things that happen. As unfortunate as they are, they happen. In this instance, it kind of did happen. That's not only my only problem with Steve, him coming back. That was
That was the main one.
that wasn't the most ridiculous thing. The most ridiculous thing is, he was able to start, take off, and fly a jet fighter because he was a pilot. No, he wasn't no damn pilot. In World War I, the planes were basically glorified lawnmowers with wings. That's as complicated as it was. It was a riding lawnmower with wings. Not a jet fighter with computers and modern avionics. And hell, his plane didn't even have proper ailerons or flaps. I mean, the thing was an old World War I biplane with no cockpit, no oxygen on board, no concept of flying above 12, 14, maybe 15,000 feet before you'd start feeling lightheaded and pass out. What is he doing getting inside of a military jet, modern military jet, and flying this thing? And then the fact that the modern military jet has at most with full external gas tanks, about 1,100 miles of range. Not 5,000 miles that would be required to fly from Washington, D.C. to Cairo, Egypt. That's ridiculous. But somehow they were able to do it. And they flew through fireworks. That was visually beautiful, but the dumbest thing I've ever seen in a freaking movie. I mean, holy shit. Everything about what that character was able to accomplish makes Ray look like a well-rounded character that's been fully trained in the Force. I mean, talk about freaking, was it Jerry Stew, they call it, with the guys, a Mary Sue? I mean, Gary Stew or whatever it is. It was ridiculous.
Yeah.
It didn't need to be there. I mean, the guy that he took over could have had a passport. The whole reason why they stole a jet is because he came from the past and didn't have a passport. He's not himself.
Yeah.
He's some random dude that he took over. One thing they could have done with just a little bit of tweaking for the character is put him in the body of a pilot, and he has the guy's knowledge and skills. When he took over the body, he inherited that sort of thing. Instead of some random engineer or architect, whatever the guy was supposed to be, he could have been a pilot, and he could have given him the skill to get in the jet and fly it. You could have written that in and been like, well, I guess they gave me a body that kind of went with what I did in my previous life. And we could have bought that. But holy crap, I couldn't get in a modern military jet and fly it. I've done it in simulators. And I don't think I could get into some random jet and get the engine started, let alone actually fly it away. And why would it be fueled to begin with? It's sitting in a museum. It's in a museum hangar. I'm sorry. That's all I'm going to talk about that. But that is just indicative of all the problems with this movie. All I know I've taken over the talking point. But pissed me off. That whole thing pissed me off.
I don't think we had like talking points. We were just like,
I know.
You never said
I took over
anything
like
to me of what you said. I see what you're saying. No, that's okay because you had a good point and you were passionate about it. So I just wanted to see what all you had to say about it because it makes sense. It wasn't a believable character and there was nothing about him that made me feel sorry when he was gone at the end. I was like, okay, bye.
It's about
and
damn
then
time.
She's supposed to be so upset about having to give up on the thing that she really wanted, which was him to come back. But then she just kind of just runs off in the end, and that's that. And I understand that they're like trying to make it a clean break. That was her way of just going and not turning back and changing her mind because this is what's going to happen. But it just, none of it was believable. None of it touched any emotional chord within me. So if they had done better with the story and the build up, maybe it would have. But how could they not in that long of a movie?
I honestly, I am astounded at how long the movie went and how little attention to any detail the movie had.
And how little it accomplished, because you had two people who were the supposed villains. So you had the lady who worked at the museum, the one who actually found the idol that you can make wishes on, and she wished to be, you know, strong like Diana. So basically she became
An Amazonian
Amazon warrior like her, but without any of the compassion and emotions. And so for me,
or sense of responsibility,
or sense of a responsibility, or even caring. So I'm like, for most of them, there comes a point when they realize that they've made these wishes and there's a downside to it. But I'm like, there's no downside for her, because the person that she wished to be didn't care. So where would there be any point where she would look back and think, oh, maybe I should have done this because, oh, now I hurt this person who used to be my friend. This new person that she is doesn't care. There's no accountability. And the same thing with a similar thing with the guy who's making all of these wishes come true. It just, on surface, like, okay, that was really smart.
Is that it? Oh, no.
It's something Pascal.
Yeah. But anyway.
Yeah. But yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. It ends so ambiguous. I mean, we have this massive event that's worldwide, where people are making all these wishes. The society is just collapsing. The world's going to crap in a handbasket. And all of a sudden, everybody renounces their wish somehow. Mm-hmm. She convinces the world to renounce their wish. Even the people that are blind or are dying of cancer, or any number of reasons why they would wish for something that isn't necessarily a selfish desire, somehow gets them to renounce their wish. And then it appears that, you know, the wall went away and all this, and the missiles disappeared, all the nukes, and all this stuff went away. And it was like the world just went right back to where it was. What was the point? There was no moral point to the whole thing, because you really didn't set... I mean, you had this big scene in the beginning where Diana's a little girl competing against these adults and somehow whooping their butts until she gets knocked off her horse because she was arrogantly looking behind her instead of just focusing on what she needed to do.
Because she made a shortcut that wasn't part of the track and the competition, so in all intents and purposes, she cheated. So
yeah,
that
when
was
she got knocked off her horse, she had to take a shortcut
setting us up for what happened in the future, with her deciding to make the wish for Steve to come back, and then, but the way he comes back is in someone else's body. Yeah. So in some twisty, long convoluted way, that moral correlates to the future one, when really, when you think about it, it doesn't. There's a moral there, but it's not they're not the same. And to me, that was the problem with the entire movie. You know, they needed a little bit more time to just kind of make it make sense, make more sense.
Well, it couldn't make any sense because it was a movie that wasn't supposed to exist. And I think that they had to erase everything, make everything go back to normal, because in their own DC extended universe, she disappeared after World War I and just went into hiding until Batman finds her in the events of Batman versus Superman. That's the first time she's supposed to resurface in history after World War I.
Okay.
Because why develop a compelling and real history for a character. We'll just have her disappear for almost 100 years. Well, over 100 years. She basically disappears for 100 years. Doesn't do a damn thing in World War II. Doesn't do a thing in Vietnam. She doesn't do a thing throughout all of the conflicts that we've had in this world. She just sits back and does nothing for 100 years until Batman comes along, and she joins him fighting some stupid CGI monster.
That's a missed opportunity. That's the story, plenty of stories that they could have told, and they could have taken like an example from Old Guard off of Netflix, because what I like that they did is they are showing through time these guards and the different things that they were involved in, and then now we understand why we get to the present and she's so disillusioned, because it's the same fight with just different people, different places in the world and different eras, and at some point you just start to feel like what is the point, because humanity is just keep repeating the same thing, they just don't learn. So they could have done more of what they started to do in the first movie, where they had her could get to that point where she was like disillusioned, like these people, why, like I wanted to find out more about humans and humanity, but man, they're fucked up, they're messed up, you know. So there's so much potential with Wonder Woman. Even before they even get to present day, if they didn't even want to tell a present day story, they could have just stayed in the Themyscira and just do the story there, because they did a great job in the first movie telling their story that I was so disappointed when they did go to...
Other than the fact that in the first movie, where they put Themyscira, or whatever you pronounce the island, the little steamboat that they somehow get on and go to England riding would not have possibly made it
but I don't
before
care.
The end of World War One.
Yeah, but I don't care about the legit. I understand, because your mind works. That's why you had a problem with like the plane and like, hey, that doesn't make sense, and you're 100% right.
I know, it's just my own thing.
Didn't care about the mechanics part of it, because I don't know anything about how that stuff works anyway. But I'm talking about the story. Like, they could have just stayed there and talk about her growth from, being this kid, and she's supposed to be the one to lead all of them and the challenges of that. Like, there's a whole story there, and the people who are around her and how that affects them, with this little girl who has the daughter of gods, and we're gonna have to basically train her to lead us. So I mean, there's just so much that I didn't even need them to go to whatever year they went to, or now 1984. It was good, so I'm not knocking it, but I was very disappointed when they left the island, because to me it's her origin story. They could have stayed there, and then part 2 could have then been World War One, and because there was no significance for me in 1984, and it could have been in 1994.
It was just a random year that they wanted to create another Wonder Woman movie. They wanted to do it in the past, but they knew that they had already written out any possibility of giving her a significant role in the past after World War One, because they firmly established in their own timeline that she fucks off for 100 years. So they picked 1984. They set it in a goofy, retro-esque parody of the 80s, and then basically erased it from ever happening.
Yeah,
somehow.
I mean, we recently watched this
because Batman was certainly at that time been wishing his parents would come back to life, because that was after his parents were killed. So, she'd have to explain to Bruce Wayne why she caused his wish to have to go back, and his parents have to give up the random body that they would have been occupying. And that's a whole other thing, right? Somebody wishes that their grandpa was back, and now he's occupying some other old dude.
Why couldn't he?
Now that guy's family's wishing he would come back.
Why couldn't he just come back? Why did he have to be in someone else's body?
It's ridiculous.
Just,
the whole notion.
Yep.
Everything about this movie was just cheetah. What the hell? What? I think it probably worked in a comic book because I think in comic books you don't think about characters as much, and we're used to weird shit happening in a comic book. But when you put it in a movie and it's real people playing parts, you start going, that character doesn't make any sense in a real life. Why would anybody want to be a cheetah? Why would she want to be that? I mean, she looked dumb. So, and she didn't seem to be any stronger. I mean, she still got her ass kicked by Diana. So, that's all I've got for this.
Me too.
I'm done kicking this dead horse. I don't want to talk about this movie anymore. Let us know how you feel in the description. I don't mind talking about it again, but geez, man. There's so many things they wasted, so many opportunities.
It was his idea to talk about it, so I don't know. I guess you're over talking about what you wanted to talk about, and yeah, I got my feelings out. Well.
This was something during the movie when we watched it, I was like, there's no way he got in that jet and took off. Where are they going? That jet doesn't have enough range. They would freaking die of boredom. That'd be a huge flight. I mean, you're talking about a flight that a jumbo jetliner takes purely because it's got massive fuel tanks. And it can fly a lot more efficiently than a jet fighter can. Jet fighters are not efficient. They are horribly inefficient aircraft. That's why people don't fly jet fighters. That's why we don't have them. They're horribly inefficient. And would suck to try to refuel them all the time. Well, that's it. That's all I'm talking about. So, I'm William.
I'm Keena.
And until next time.
We are the Nerdy Wiz. Stay nerdy. My brain's already shut off.